Good morning. So I was thinking about something, actually, kind of like a question. This relates to an subject that I was like occupied with it in the past and spoke about it, but I've kind of like lost interest in it because I just stopped caring about it. But during the last couple of days, I don't even remember what exactly, what kind of like issues popped up that made me like rethink about those things. And the issue is like, how intelligence services like the Israeli ones, which means that are based on like on homosexuals, pedophiles, and female aliens, like how do they operate? So it was something that I've written about it since like at least like 4 years ago. It's because it actually was the first thing that I had like outside of reevaluating my own life and the history of my own life and rethink like everything that I think that I know about my family and friends, etc. This was the only thing that I actually had like direct knowledge, not real knowledge, because I was not part of any intelligence community, and so it's all secret. But since I was always surrounded by these people, I could have like they do a lot of stuff, but just by watching them. So since 2019, and my discovery journey began, and I understood that okay, so there is something special about me, and I should understand what exactly. This was one of the first for like kind of like an entrance to all this world that of conspiracy that surrounds me, because I had access to the people, because they surrounded me. They anywhere, it's still true, and it was always true. Anywhere I go, they create these like gardens surrounding me. So just by observing how they behave, I could learn a lot. And also in retrospect, I'm return, reevaluate things that that I know again. So obviously, since it was something that I have direct access to, just by watching the people, it is natural that it was one of the things that I was kind of like the first like subject of interest, things like 4 years ago. But with time, I kind of like I lost interest, because I understood that that I understood several things, but the major thing that I understood is that the intelligence service, again, as John Le Carre, the spy novelist, famous one, wrote that the intelligence services is really the subconscious of the nation. It's true. As disgusting as it is, as much as it is disgusting, and it could be, it's supremely disgusting in the intelligence service. It's not more disgusting than the nation that it serves. And my main problem is not the intelligence service of Israel, but Israel, the state, the country, the people, all of it. This is a disgusting nation, a disgusting state, disgusting country. And if they were not that disgusting, then their intelligence services were also not as disgusting as it is. The fact that the Shabak and the Mossad are the worst intelligence services of this world, it cannot be detached from how disgusting are the people in Israel and the state itself. Whatever organization structure that they choose, and of course some are better than the others, but whatever that they choose to themselves, is not the major issue of how disgusting they will behave. But the major issue is the people, the people of the place, and this cannot be changed. You can change the government, but you cannot change the people, because that's what it is. It's just like a big mountain of shit. That's what it is. I mean, and yes, in modern discourse is discourse is kind of like, I mean, it's improper to speak about like complete nations or societies, even if let's put like our fear from anti-Semitism aside. But of course, I mean, the fear of anti-Semitism, of course, is something that like debilitates like the discourse surrounding the Israeli people and their crimes. But like I myself, like I consider myself like a Jew. I mean, yeah, Yehudi Mashiach, which means like a Christian Jew. But still, I mean, it's a fact that I was like born Jew and educated as a Jew, and I know more about Judaism than, I mean, majority of people in Israel. So I have like less fear than I mean I would suggest most people, certainly outside of Israel, with regards to like I do not fear anti-Semitism. Like, I mean, you can convert to Judaism if you want to to tell anti-Semitic jokes. So yes, but even with this regards to the fear from anti-Semitism, there is less. In modern societies, in modern discourse, it's kind of like it's improper to speak about complete societies because people feel that it will and from generalizations and from racism, but in reality, this is nothing to do with racism. And yes, sometimes generalizations are in place because some societies are worse than others, and this should be pointed out. And this society in Israel is the worst of them all. These are shitty people, and it's manifested in so many ways. And that, I mean, we should not like close our eyes to it. And overall, in the bottom line, their intelligence services, as disgusting as they are not more disgusting than what they are. They are maybe, I mean, this is like, I mean, the bottom of the barrel, but I mean, if the barrel was not that disgusting, then the bottom of the barrel was as well not that disgusting. So that's why I'm kind of like, I kind of like I lost some interest like in like on this issue that was in the beginning, I mean, the issue of like how their organization actually works. Even though yes, it was important in the beginning, and it led me to many like interesting conclusions and like, I mean, in the beginning, like when you build a huge puzzle and you have nothing, no one will help you. Anything that you can, the first pieces are very important of any puzzle, like incredibly important, and so these were the first pieces. Like, I mean, how do these people operate? And they cannot like hide it from me because, I mean, they are the ones that created like the guardians around me. So I mean, yeah, I knew the people, I understood them, like, and I saw how they behave, and so, I mean, it was an entrance point to many other subjects that are even more important than that. Now, as I said, I was interested in that because I learned to view like the problem as the problem of the complete like state, like Israel in general, and not of the intelligence services of Israel, but of Israel, of the state. But like during the last couple of days, I kind of like, I don't even remember why I like all sort of stuff like led me to rethink all sort of like things that are related to this issue. And there is actually one question that just popped into my mind. Like, I mean, it's not a very important question, but it's kind of like a question that I don't really have like a complete answer to it, because I sense that the complete the accurate to understand the accurate answer to this question, like I have partial answer, but the accurate answer that I do not have, in order to have it, you need to understand the psychology of the Venusians, of the female Titans, and this is something that is very difficult because even though, yes, I mean, I knew quite a bit of those, and in both ways of knew, but I mean not both ways like of both direction. I mean both ways are like in the biblical term and in the modern term, but I nevertheless, I mean, the entire culture, I mean, in Earth is surrounding mostly around the Homo sapiens, I mean, naturally. So you have much less like reference point from cultural point of view. They are always making this noise, always. So you have, I mean, outside of like direct relationship, I mean, you have much less cultural references and cultural points of view to understand the psychology. Then you have similar ones that allow you to understand Homo sapiens psychology. And of course, that these are not the same creatures. Like the Venusian females and the Terran females are similar, but they are not the same. And of course, their biology dictates much of their psychology, even though not all of it. There are a lot of cultural issues, of course, that are different between cultures on the face of the earth. But the biology is different, and so the psychology is different. So, and I cannot say that I understand the psychology to the same extent that I think that I understand psychology of female like Homo sapienses, because because of these cultures. No, you read novels all your life, you watch movies, you watch TV series, and you read, of course, academic material, and all of this. Most of it was certain. Explicitly, all of it, all deals only with Homo sapiens females and males. But even if you suggest that, some of it, like in indirect, and I think that it does actually, that some of it actually, some of the cultural products and even academic and academic products, like with regard to theory, like academic stuff, some of it I believe that actually do deal with the foreigners, but of course in kind of a secretive way, and I do believe that it's true actually, and you can sometimes actually detect it, and it's actually very interesting because, and from academic perspective, and I have a lot of interest in literature, like both like that. I like to read novels, but also that from critical perspective, and theory. And it's something that is that I'm very interested in, and so it's actually interesting to kind of to excavate the buried layers, both in literature and in literary criticism and theory in general, that might that was written by people that actually knew of those of the phenomenon of the strength of the foreigners, and wrote about it in indirect matter. A couple of months ago, I mentioned Shai Agnon in this regard, and it's really interesting. Specifically Dov Veinam, but there are other stuff as well. In any case, let's get back to the question, because I haven't asked the question. But I say that the reason why the answer, I think, eludes me is because it in the final form it relates to the stranger, to the foreign psychology, which is much less there is much less knowledge about it than about normal Homo sapiens psychology. So this is the question. It's very obvious, and it was obvious to me from the start, from 2019, and it just got more and more obvious with time, that the operation of intelligence services in Israel, that are based on homosexual, pedophiles, scumbags in general, and female aliens, is one of its central tenants, a central tenant that keeps the whole system in place, and that without it everything would have been collapsed, is that there is no sexual attraction between like the males and the females. Now, why is it so? Because they do everything together, and I mean they have no privacy, and they like, I mean, they live like in like kind of like a large commune of people. I mean, and they are, all of them are extremely immoral, and they don't care at all about morality, and I mean they treat people as garbage, and they, I mean, so if there was sexual attraction, I mean it's inevitable that I mean they I mean they couldn't work with each other because I mean there was total בנק הפועלים. Yeah, I know, I have a meeting. Okay, what's the problem? We are not, we have, it's okay, we have, it's 5 minutes, it's 2 minutes walk, don't worry. So, so obviously they have to really not be attracted to each other. This was obvious to me, because otherwise they would have just, I mean, they would have killed each other just, I mean, for to gain sexual like advantage over each other, because that's the way they are. They are so disgusting, so immoral, so, I mean, egoistic, that and when you added to the fact that the males and the females like work in such like close connection, and this was evident to me from the start. I mean, this couldn't work if there was like attraction, mutual attraction. That's certain. But also there is another issue that is also true, and this is actually even more complicated in a way, that it's probably also true that there shouldn't be love. Now, for some of them, this is actually very easy to make sure that it won't happen, because they don't believe that love exists at all. Like many of these people think that love was kind of like an invention, like that was like invented during the 1960s or something like that. And before that, there was not even the concept of love, and certainly that there was not actual love. It sounds like a joke, but many people like from the intelligence community of Israel, they think that love is just an invention that was recently invented, like a recent invention, like microwave, or I don't know, or like robotic vacuum cleaners. I shit you not. They think that they think that it never. They think that it was never existed, and certainly that even the concept is new, like the invention is new, and it was probably invented by people like them. That's what they think. But I mean, you still need to ask yourself, I mean, so, I mean, the love that I refer to, I mean, yes, because when you speak about love, there are all sorts of like meanings to do. Is it like, I mean, earthly love, or like a brotherly love, or like, I mean, love between God and like the people, like divine love? So I refer to eros, to sexual love, to love that a major like aspect of it is sexual attraction, but is not identical to sexual attraction. Love that is only manifested and created and developed between two humans that are sexually attracted to each other, but it's not the sexual attraction itself. It's not sexual attraction itself. It's something much more complicated and much more deep, and sometimes it helps sexual attraction to develop. Actually, you hear the monkeys in this place. It's always like that. There are always monkeys. So it actually allows sexual attraction to develop. Now, I don't want to define it too much, and I mean, trying to define it, I mean, you know, it's one of like a major themes in philosophy since way before. I mean, I mentioned Eros, but you know, there is the Symposium of Plato. It's a magnificent dialogue which was like central to human thought, and I really suggest reading it. For someone who didn't do it, I read it a couple of times, like Plato's Symposium. It's really amazing dialogue that is centered on exactly around this concept of like love, which is as its root like in sexual attraction, but it's not the sexual attraction itself. So this is the love that I speak about. So it's also, I mean, evident that there shouldn't be this kind of love between the males and the females. Now, for the male parts, it's quite easy. I mean, I can understand very well why the males are not attracted to the females and do not love them in eros way. They are not attracted to them because they are homosexual and pedophiles. That's how they are recruited to their organization. So it's problem solved. And they do not develop erotic love because they lack attraction and because in general these people are mostly, should be said, they are animals. Like you heard one just right now. These are kind of animals. I mean, I think that they are not even, as I said, many do not even believe that love exists of them, and I mean, most of them are just like animals. That's reality. They are animals. They are homosexual and pedophile animals. I mean, it's sad, but that's the way it is. And I know it's not 100% of them are like that. Yes, I know that there are all sorts of thoughts, and they surround me all my life, so I've seen like people from all like stratas of society, like from like the lowest scum of the earth, like you heard now, up until professors and CEOs of IT companies. So yes, there are all sorts of these scumbags, but in general they are all scumbags, and the concept of love is completely foreign to them, and and certainly they cannot develop like erotic love to any female at all. So from this, so this is, this side of the problem is solved, but the question that is still left open is, and I know that, it might sound like a ridiculous question in light of like what we've just heard, the monkey from the room adjacent to me, and in general, I know, it's kind of like ridiculous to think about it, but yes, it's still a question of, and the question is, how come the females do not develop sexual attraction and also erotic love to the males? I know that is kind of like a ridiculous question because most of the males are really, they are monkeys from the zoo, but even there are documented cases of like workers, like female workers in zoos that actually develops erotic love towards like gorillas and chimpanzees. This is true. Google it. It's kind of, it's curiosity, but even that can happen. So, if this can happen, and it's happened actually more than once, there are several documented cases of like zoo workers, like female zoo workers, and sometimes even not workers, but visitors that frequently like to visit the zoos, like female visitors that actually developed erotic love towards like monkeys or chimpanzees in the zoo. There are several documented cases around the globe. So if this is possible, I would suggest that even it's not probable, but it's even possible that females, like the Venusian females, would develop sexual attraction and erotic love towards the males in their organization. Yes, I know it's not very probable because I know exactly that these are monkeys, and that it's kind of ridiculous to think about it. But yes, if females developed kind of like a sexual love towards real monkeys in zoos, then I would suggest that perhaps it can also possible that this will happen inside intelligence organizations. Now, I understand that this sexual life cannot be materialized because of the biological problem. But throughout history, and of course, and like more than like actual history, like when you examine cultural history of and this is one of the problems in my argument, like because cultural history that I refer to is the cultural history of Homo sapienses that was written and produced by Homo sapienses, and this might not be completely true with regards to Venusians. So this is like, here we might find the answer, but I don't know. This is probably the space, like the dead space or the black space, where the answer to the question actually lies. But if you examine cultural history of humans, then you find that a very frequent motive is that that eros or love that is centered around sexual attraction develop very rapidly and very strongly in many cases where the actual sexual act cannot be materialized for all sorts of reasons. This is very, common in the cultural history that depicted eros, erotic love. So if this was also true to Venusian psychology, you would expect many of the Venusian females to actually develop like sexual love or eros towards the males in their intelligence organization, just because they cannot materialize the sexual attraction, or if not because, then I would say despite of it. It without relation to it. I mean, it will just develop by itself. You would expect it to happen, and yes, I understand most of them are monkeys from the zoos, but even, taking this into account, it's still, if you apply, cultural, the cultural, cultural history of love that was produced by humans, and you apply it to the Venusians, you would expect that many cases would actually occur that those females will develop eros, like sexual love towards the males in the organization, even though or just because they cannot manifest this physical love or the physical aspect of this love. And this is something that I'm sure that does not happen, or almost never happens. Because if it would happen, the entire organization would collapse. Because such thing, and this is something that I know very well, would have, caused these females to, to destroy everything in their past inside the organization. Like, I've come to know them well enough to understand that they are, as I said in the beginning, they are all, both males and females, they are incredibly immoral and incredibly instrumental, where in the way that they treat not only people outside the organization, but also themselves. These are people that have no limits at all. And they have no morality, no loyalty. They are completely instrumental in the way that they operate. So if those females would, allow, strong feelings like sexual love, to dictate their actions, and they would allow it if such feelings existed, they would allow it because they have no limits at all. For certainly, this would destroy their ability to act inside the organization, and specifically to act as operators, which we know that it's something that they do very frequently. So the conclusion is that they actually do not do it, that it doesn't happen, or nearly never happens, that these operators, or in general, that the female Venusians almost never develop neither attraction nor eros, erotical love, love that is centered on attraction, or that is main component of it is attraction towards the male inside their organization. And it's not entirely clear to me why it doesn't happen. And again, I'm certain that the accurate answer, falls into the black space, which is how the Venusian psychology of females actually is different from the Homo sapiens female psychology.